prisoner masterminds a daring jailbreak.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you right
I thought he might have taken my life to get away.
Kerry Silvers gives police the slip and flees to Mexico.
Then he just disappeared off the face of the earth.
He builds a new life, but his success puts him in the spotlight.
My name is s1e12.
Which is not what a fugitive wants to do.
Outsmarting Silvers will not be easy.
He had 2.5-year head start on us.
Kerry Silvers, we know who you are.
April 18th, 2002. The Orange County Jail in Paoli, Indiana. 28-year-old Kerry Silvers is serving a 61-year sentence for robbery, burglary, and drug possession. He has spent all but a few months of his adult life behind bars.
Number 3.
But that is about to change. While being led back to his cell, Silvers and 2 other inmates overpower a jail guard and threaten him with a makeshift knife.
They come out, they grabbed him, they put it up to his throat and told him they basically cut his throat.
They cuff the guard to the cell bars and head downstairs to the dispatch office.
I heard a key get put in the door and the key get turned. I assumed it was one of the jail officers.
Dispatcher Doug Shepard is on duty with another officer. They're both taken completely by surprise.
Give me handcuffs. Hands up. Hands up. The phone down. The phone down.
Silvers produced what appeared to be a semi-automatic pistol.
The gun is actually a fake that Silvers secretly made over several days.
I decided to make a fake gun using wet toilet paper, kind of like paper mache, and then using soap to gloss it up and black magic marker to paint it and to make it look realistic.
Officer Shepard is armed, but doesn't have time to act.
I had a split second to realize if I pulled, he could fire first, and I'd certainly be dead. Before I could go for my weapon, they were on me. I was shoved to the floor. I was relieved of my weapon.
Silvers knows it's just a matter of minutes before another guard sees them. He starts to panic.
Where are your handcuffs?
Mr. Silvers wanted to know where my handcuffs were at.
Your
I
handcuffs.
told him I didn't have any cuffs on me that night. Seemed like it upset him quite a bit. He put my weapon to my head and again asked me where my cuffs were at.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you right here.
I was trying to make myself appear to look very hyped up, like anything's possible, don't cross me, you know. I'll shoot you right now. You know, I'm desperate.
Give me your handcuffs.
The gun was around toward the right side. It wasn't right in the back, and I could see his finger squeezing. At that point, I thought he might have taken my life to get away.
The clock is ticking. The 3 inmates need to act fast before they are discovered.
Made me put my hands behind my head, took me out around in the hallway and took me back into the booking hallway area. Eddie and myself were put into the holding cell with a couple prisoners that were already in there.
Silvers and his buddies race out of the cell block. But they only get a 5-minute head start.
There's a set of keys down there. Go grab the keys.
One of the inmate workers came back there and asked if there was anything we could do to help us.
Once he's free, Shepard alerts authorities about the escape.
I started doing my job. I put the word out to everyone.
Shepard, we need to lock down right now.
I was basically trying to get notifications made and get us as much help in as possible.
Mike Dixon is a former detective with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. He arrives at the jail and is immediately put in command of the manhunt.
Okay, we're moving out.
Meanwhile, Silvers and the other inmates seize an opportunity to get out of town.
There was a house located just east of the jail. The people were sitting out on the porch.
Hey, give me your money. You got your money?
They tried to get these people to give them money and go with them as hostages. The man at that location faked a heart attack, and so they just left.
The 3 men speed off into the country. They have no idea whether or not the cops are on their trail.
Almost immediately we come to a T and there's a cop sitting there. And I'm like, just be cool, turn the turn signals on.
Don't look at him.
Drive safely, calmly, and we got past him.
A woman living just outside of town helps point the cops in the right direction. She hears an all-points bulletin on her police scanner and calls in.
Hello, police. I just saw the SUV.
She says a car matching the description of the stolen vehicle is heading east toward the next county.
I started putting that out on the air. My other hand was busy dialing the phone to start calling everybody in.
Within minutes, a police squadron zooms toward Washington County. The 3 inmates keep heading east and pass another cop car. This time, they're not so lucky.
The brake lights immediately flash on, and I can see he's looking for a place to turn around. So I tell my accomplice, and I'm like, hey, get off of the road.
Go, 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 go.
Get it behind something, a garage, a house, something. Before we could get around this barn, the cop was already back and he's seen us.
We got dishes coming. We got to get out of here.
The men decide to make a run for it on foot. But Silvers can't keep up.
I've been in jail for almost 4 years and I'd gained a lot of weight. We come up to the base of this giant hill and my friends are like, let's go, and I start up it and I don't have it. I wore out very quickly.
A police officer radios for backup. Within minutes, the squadron arrives and sets off after the men.
They're dangerous. They're desperate. Keep your heads up.
At any given time, it was probably no more than a half-mile from us, if that. And it was just a coin's toss of whether you caught them or whether you didn't.
The inmates realize the police are closing in on them. They tear through the brush up the hill, but Silvers is winded and lags behind.
Come on, man. We need you.
I'm like, well, you guys go ahead. It's over for me.
Get out of here, man. Come on, man.
So they run on up the hill. This posse starts to come up from behind me, I can hear the dogs barking and whatnot.
Silvers musters up what little strength he's got to push on. The cops don't know what Silvers is capable of doing if cornered.
I had the drive of knowing that my life was on the line. I'm just terrified.
Don't move like a woman.
Anytime anybody goes to those extremes to escape and steals a weapon, there's a real good chance that they're going to be armed and you're not going to take them alive.
Silvers rushes down the hill and reaches the road, only to find a line of police cars. He's trapped.
I figured, well, I might as well just step out into the road with my hands in the air, allow myself to be cuffed and taken into custody.
Silvers slowly surrenders, then makes a surprising discovery.
I suddenly realized there's no one around, not a soul in sight. They're all confining their search to this side of the road. So I went ahead and skidded on off the road into the brush.
Silvers is panicked and exhausted, but he knows he's got to keep going.
I come up on this clearing. I have no idea where I'm at. I decided I needed to find a place to bed down. I seen a big thorn bush right beside the road. I decided to try to burrow my way inside this thing. It was very painful, big, sharp thorns. I ended up falling asleep.
While Silvers lays low in the woods, luck runs out for his 2 accomplices. The police have closed in on them.
Freeze! Hands in the air.
They had stolen a cell phone, and we were monitoring the cell phone traffic from the different towers it was hitting on, and it finally ended up in Columbus. We notified the Columbus Police Department, and they were able to locate 2 of the fugitives. Kerry wasn't with them.
Silvers keeps moving. He wanders through the countryside without food or water or knowing where he is. He also has no idea whether the cops are closing in on him.
There's the anxiety. Where am I going to go? I have no money. I'm being hunted by police posses. I'm dying of thirst. I said quite a few prayers.
Finally, Silvers gets a lucky break.
I found a vehicle that had the keys in it. It was one of those crimes of necessity. I ended up making my way to Louisville. It was the closest major city.
Silvers drives an hour south to Louisville, Kentucky.
Dixon here. All right.
Orange County police get a tip
Yeah,
about
we're
a stolen
searching that
car
area right
close
now.
to the search area. They have a hunch. Silvers is the culprit and launch a full-scale manhunt to find him.
We tracked that car to Kentucky. We knew of a relationship he had with people in Kentucky.
As Silvers heads toward Louisville, reality sets in. If he gets caught, he will likely never see the outside of a prison again.
I'm having panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I mean, just where you feel like, you're going to die and it's going to happen very quickly and there's nothing you can do to stop it and you're trapped. You can't breathe and the walls are closing in.
It's been 18 hours since the jailbreak. Now that Silvers is believed to be fleeing the state, he is officially considered a fugitive.
All the warrants and everything had been put in National Crime Information Computer and the Indiana crime computers and everything. A fugitive warrant was issued after he left the state of Indiana.
Silvers gets to Louisville. He figures his getaway car has been reported stolen by now, so he leaves it in the parking lot of an apartment building.
I dished it outside an apartment complex and I wiped it down. And I was trying to get someone to call a taxi for me.
Hi, I was wondering if you could...
I knocked on a few different doors. I guess maybe a bunch of elderly people lived here or something. They was very scared of a young guy being outside in their parking lot. And all of a sudden I see two cop cars rolling down the street toward me. So I hurried up and ditched in this little cubby hole in between the apartments so the cops couldn't see me.
Silvers is terrified the cops will find him and send him back to jail.
I'm hunkered down behind a truck, and I'm just hunkered down, right, hoping they can't see my legs underneath this truck.
Silvers watches anxiously. The cops circle the parking lot and inch closer to him. April 2002.
Hands up. The phone down. The phone down.
Kerry Silvers is on the run after a daring escape from an Indiana jail. He's made it 60 miles away to an apartment complex in Louisville, Kentucky. But police are closing in on him.
I'm just hunkered down, right, hoping they can't see my legs underneath this truck. And it keeps going, the car goes on, but I see they're circling around.
As the cop cars reach the other end of the parking lot, Silvers sees his chance. He runs out of the lot and down an alley.
I ended up finding like this old garage, and the door was open, and it had, I could see it had a loft, a second story, and there was all this junk and stuff. I was laying up in that loft and just scared, terrified that there was of hearing something down at the door of that garage. Somebody open the door, because it would be all over.
Silvers is afraid that by now the Indiana cops may have tracked him to Louisville. He makes the musty loft his temporary home.
For 6 days, I hid in that loft, and during the night, like at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'd sneak out and I'd get water. I had found some old matches and stuff, and I boiled some of this water and drank it, and it made me sick, but it was water. I kept it down. And that'd been the only water that I had had since the escape.
Meanwhile, Orange County police get a tip. Someone matching Silvers' description has been spotted driving across the border to Kentucky in a stolen car.
Once we've Was able to find out that Louisville had located the vehicle in an apartment complex parking lot down there. State police officer and myself went down there and processed that vehicle, where we found Kerry's fingerprints and determined that he was in fact the one that's stolen it.
After almost a week of hiding in the loft, Silvers emerges. And almost immediately, desperation sets in. He has no money, no food, and no plan. He does have one faint ray of hope.
I had ended up coming in contact with distant relatives.
I'm Terry Silvers.
I was honest with them. I told them the whole story, who I was and what was going on, and basically put my future and my life in their hands.
Silver's relatives let him move in. He begins to settle into a new life while keeping a low profile.
Family's family.
I ended up getting a job for a vending company, stocking pop machines, soda machines. I was real intent on changing my identity as quickly as I could. My alias in Louisville I chose was Justin, and Case, Justin Case, mostly for the humor of it.
Silver's attempt to build a life in Louisville is short-lived.
One of the distant relatives that I stayed with some was close friends with the lieutenant at the police department there in Louisville. I got a warning through this lieutenant at the Louisville Police Department.
You have got to get him out of town or he's going to get picked up.
That they were being told to go and look for me. I had to leave. I had a little bit of money saved up, and I rented a hotel just outside the city for a couple of days while I tried to figure out what my next play would be.
Silvers fears the police are close to catching him. So he decides to head south.
I walked into a bus station.
One-way ticket, New Orleans.
Walked up to the counter and said, "Let me have a ticket one way for New Orleans." I chose New Orleans because somewhere along the line I had read that New Orleans was the murder capital of the country. And so I figured with those type of serious crimes in play, somebody like me that was just an average Joe would be able to slide under the radar.
Silvers arrives in the Big Easy. Once again, he has to reinvent himself to stay under the radar.
Whenever I would change cities, I would try to change my appearance as much as I could. I was constantly losing weight, so I was changing my appearance of my face. I would even try to dress differently, adopt a different, persona. I got a job there working in a restaurant as a sous chef in training, and really fell in love with the culture there.
Silver's charming personality and friendly demeanor help him fit in and make friends in New Orleans. Still, he feels the need to constantly watch his every step.
Whenever I would see a police officer, my insides would just cringe. Fear. I would almost be paralyzed with fear. Fearful to make eye contact. Are they coming for me? Is this it?
September 2002. It's been almost 6 months since Kerry Silvers broke out of jail for the second time. Orange County investigators have no new leads. Their only hope is that Silvers will make contact with one of his relatives.
I made several trips up to Orange County to interview family and friends, to see if anybody had heard from him. His family was real hard to get information out of. They was doing everything they could to protect him.
Any other information you can think of?
With no other information to go on, the case goes cold.
Okay.
It becomes more frustrating because then he just disappeared off the face of the earth for a long period of time, and there was no way to know which way he was going or where he might be headed. The fact that Kerry was so intelligent probably made the investigation harder because, unlike most criminals, he kept a low profile, never got in any trouble. It made the job tough.
In October 2002, Silvers has another close call that forces him to uproot his life and move on.
One evening, the restaurant got robbed. The police want to interview everybody that works there. And of course, I can't do that.
Because I think it's an inside job. Yeah, but that's what we think.
So when the police wanted me to come in and be questioned, I decided I had to leave. I went into a bus station and got a bus ticket to Brownsville, Texas, which is a border town.
Silvers figures he has a better chance of keeping his identity a secret in Mexico. But getting there may be a real challenge.
I didn't know what I was going to have to go through to get into Mexico. I didn't have an ID, a passport, or anything. So I'm thinking, if necessary, I'll buy me a raft and I'll launch off around South Padre Island, catch the tides and get out around and come in on the Mexico side.
Just a little turnaround. I'm trying to find my way down south.
I'm in a bus station and some long-haired guy comes up to me. He starts talking to me and come to find out, you don't have to do anything. He said, you got to put like 50 cents or something in this turnstile and pass through. So that's how I entered Mexico. I picked up my bags and walked across this bridge. And that was a very emotional moment, thinking it would be the last time I'd get to see my native land.
Silvers arrives in the town of Matamoros, but he doesn't intend to settle here. He's got a long-range plan that would guarantee him lifelong freedom.
If a fugitive makes it to Brazil and gets married, has a child, they are now beyond extradition to any country for anything. My goal was to make it to Brazil and start a new life.
Silver's hopes are quickly dashed.
Matamoros is a coastal city, but there's no ports, no way to get passage to Brazil. And the second major upset came when I realized that Mexico, it has two borders. The first border you could pass into easily enough with really no identification. But to make it more than 25 miles inside, there's military checkpoints on all the roads. And you have to have permiso if you're an American citizen, which is a type of visa. So I'm trapped.
Silvers tries to make the best of his situation, but after a couple of weeks, his cash and his luck run out.
I began to look to try to find a way to make some money. Nobody would hire me. Now I'm on the streets. No money, no food, no water, and I don't even speak the language. I'm really struggling, you know. I'm eating out of trash bins where there is really hardly no food to be found. I'm thinking I'm going to have to swim the Rio Grande and come back into the U.S. where at least I can find a job.
A few weeks after arriving in Matamoros, Silvers meets a fellow American. The man, a Vietnam vet, offers him work, but it's a risky job opportunity.
What would you think about growing marijuana? He would give me a place to stay. He would rent a warehouse. He would pay for everything, and I would grow him some high-grade marijuana. Having no other options available to me, I agreed.
The joint venture quickly becomes a lucrative business. Besides growing the crops, Silvers also helps package the drugs to sell in the U.S. in exchange for a cut of the earnings.
He would transport marijuana across the border to be sold over here at a decent profit.
Several months pass, and Silvers is happy to be making some easy money. He doesn't know that Orange County police have a lead on his whereabouts after arresting his brother in Indiana.
His brother was stopped for a traffic violation. The officer that stopped him found money order receipts that were mailed to Matamoros, Mexico. I spoke to authorities in Brownsville, U.S. Marshals and the FBI, and told them what we'd found out, and we pretty much knew that he was just across the border in Mexico.
Authorities are back on Silver's trail. Meanwhile, Silvers falls head over heels for a young Mexican woman named Isabel.
I'd met this guy, and then I'd met his sister, and I'd fallen in love with her. It was love at first sight. I seen her, and my heart was gone. I came clean with her. I told her everything about who I was, what I was doing there, what my intentions were.
Isabel wants to return to her young son and family in Veracruz, Mexico. As their relationship blossoms, Silvers decides to quit the pot business so they can move there together. But sneaking Silvers past the military checkpoints is going to be a challenge. Isabel comes up with a plan.
We all decided that they would smuggle me to Veracruz. We would load this van up and basically create a hidden spot inside of this for me to hide in while we got past the military checkpoints.
Silvers climbs into the van and buries himself under Isabel's clothes and other belongings. Although the van is stuffed with boxes and bags, Silvers is not a small guy, so he's not very well hidden. He's pinning his freedom on the hope that Mexican Border Patrol won't search the van too thoroughly. The van gets to the first checkpoint, and the Mexican officials ask Isabel and her family for identification. Then, they ask to search the back of the van. Silvers is afraid to even breathe. If he makes one false move, his freedom will come to an end. July 2003.
Hands up. The phone down. The phone down.
It's been over a year since Kerry Silvers escaped from an Indiana jail. He's heading to Veracruz, Mexico, and hoping to sneak past the Border Patrol hidden in his girlfriend's family's van. It's a highly risky maneuver, especially for a fugitive.
It was a very stressful trip, to say the least, with the military, Mexican military pride and the boxes and moving things around. I'm hidden inside. You know, it was very nerve-wracking.
Silvers passes through the checkpoint without incident and arrives in Veracruz with his girlfriend Isabel. He's also managed to stay one step ahead of Indiana authorities, who have now called on the U.S. Marshals to help find him. Jason Wodillo is a U.S. Marshal assigned to the case. He and other investigators know that Silvers has been living in Matamoros, Mexico. What they don't know is that he's moved away.
It's a cat and mouse game, you know, and it's looking for that needle in the haystack, that mistake that they made.
Yeah. Investigators trace the wire transfers Silvers has been receiving and discover a link between them and the Vietnam vet Silvers used to work with.
This associate and Kerry, while they were living together in Matamoros, was sending shipments of marijuana through UPS back up to Indiana to his brother, who was then selling the marijuana, and that was a source of some of the income that resulted in the wire transfers.
Enlighten me.
Wodillo knows he needs to question the Vietnam vet in hopes of finding Silvers. He does some digging and finds out the vet regularly crosses the border to Brownsville, Texas.
He was, of course, receiving federal assistance through Social Security, and his checks were being sent to a post office box on the Brownsville side of the border. We concluded that on the third day of every month, his check would arrive in his post office box. And on that day or the day thereafter, he would then bring it and cash it.
The Marshals quickly set up a sting operation on the border between Brownsville and Matamoros.
We had a window when we anticipated he was going to cross the border and when he might arrive at his post office box.
Authorities fear if they miss this opportunity, it will be at least another month before they can stop and question him. There's also the risk that once they talk to him, the vet will tip Silvers off that the Marshals are closing in.
We actually missed him coming across the border, but we had a Deputy U.S. Marshal positioned at the post office, and when he arrived to get his mail...
Number 12, I think I got it. Excuse me, sir.
He agreed to voluntarily come in for an interview. and indicated that, in fact, Kerry had been living with him for some period of time in Matamoros, but that he was no longer, that he had left months earlier.
Meanwhile, Silver struggles to settle into his new life in Veracruz and make ends meet for himself, Isabel, and her young son.
Once again, I couldn't find work. Her brother worked some in banana plantations and lime plantations, and I worked some in that day labor, for like $10. Now we have a little child living with us, and he has to have milk and diapers and things. So it looks like we're just going to bust.
Silvers also adopts a new alias.
I stuck with the name David Scarpetti. I chose David for a couple reasons. One of my heroes from the Bible was King David. And two, I was looking for a name that translated well into Spanish.
One day, Silvers decides to spend his free time tinkering with the one item he smuggled into Veracruz.
The only thing that I'd taken with me from Matamoros was a computer. I like computers. I've always repaired computers, installing, setting up networks. So I decided to spend this morning setting up the computer.
Once his neighbors discover his hobby, his financial situation takes a dramatic turn.
An old lady comes to our door. The lady wants to know if I'll be willing to give her 2 or 3 grandchildren computer lessons.
You teach my grandchildren computer?
That's okay, She's like, well, how much? I said, well, how's $5 per child per week? She agrees to it, pulls out her purse, pays up front. All of a sudden, we've got money.
Word quickly spreads throughout the town. And for the first time in his life, Silvers is earning a decent living.
Good morning, class. My name is Senor Scarpetti.
Before I knew it, people was knocking on the door left and right. Hey, will you teach my son? I'm teaching at a junior high school. I'm teaching hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of elementary and junior high level children and adults as well. Both computer literacy and English.
Silvers can't resist the lure of a steady income to help support his new family. He quickly breaks the cardinal rule of keeping a low profile when you're on the run.
If you need any help, just raise your hand and I'll come up and help you guys, okay?
I gradually began to become a sort of pillar in a community. Everybody afforded me the greatest amount of respect and gratitude for what I was doing, for trying to help people and try to be an upstanding person.
Silvers and Isabel also decide to get married.
We'd actually went through a ceremony, though not legally so because I couldn't use my name. But for her and my conscience sake, we decided to marry so that we could not be living, contrary to God's law.
After being in Veracruz for just a few months, Silvers has carved out a successful career as a teacher. He has a job, a wife, and a new lease on life. So he decides to take a bold step that will make him even more visible within the community.
Eventually, I went in partners on a business, a computer store called Earth Navigator. 30-some computers, internet cafe, a retail outlet, a computer shop.
I think he felt safe once he got into Mexico, teaching and being able to run his own business. I think that he really felt that he was free.
Silver's life of crime seems like a distant memory. One afternoon, he gets a sobering reality check while surfing the web at his store.
I'd actually looked on America's Most Wanted website one day and found myself, and I was terrified to see my picture come up.
This is what Silvers has been dreading.
My heart drops into my stomach.
He anxiously looks around to see if anyone is watching him. If his real identity is discovered, he'll be headed back to jail. October 2003, Veracruz, Mexico. Fugitive Kerry Silvers has been on the run for 18 months. While surfing the internet at his computer store, Silvers is shocked to see his face posted on the America's Most Wanted website.
I was terrified to see my picture come up. Man, I erased the browser history. I did everything I could to try to keep them from thinking, well, who would be looking up Kerry Silvers in Mexico,
He actually told me when he came back that he did get on the America's Most Wanted website just to see if he was actually wanted, and did see his picture on there, and very quickly got off the website because he was afraid that he could be tracked, or that we would be tracking hits on that website.
One afternoon, Silvers gets an unexpected visit that immediately puts him on edge.
This guy shows up, suit, tie looking guy.
This is David Scarpetti here.
I think he's a cop. I don't have permiso, I don't have ID, I don't have passport, I ain't got nothing. I'm thinking I'm in trouble.
Hi, can I help you?
This is Scarpetti.
Yeah.
He's staring into the face of a stranger who may be a cop.
Okay.
Come to find out, this guy's head of a new vocational school in the community, and he wants to invite me to teach English classes.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much.
I can charge the same I'm charging for the computer classes, but I'll have a whole bunch of students at once, so I'll be making a lot more for my money.
Silvers accepts the job, even though he knows it makes him even more recognizable.
The lifestyle I was living was counteractive to my goal of staying free. You know, I was like one of the most well-known people within probably 50 miles, which is not what a fugitive wants to do.
Silvers manages to stay under the radar as a teacher for a full year without being detected. Then he makes another career move, which he hopes will also help throw any police investigations off his trail.
I had an opportunity to teach in the largest elementary school in the state of Veracruz, which is in Martinez de la Torre. Sold the business and everything and moved to the next city over.
Back in the U.S., authorities are closing in on Silvers. The information provided by Silvers' former business associate reveals a money trail that leads directly to Isabel.
I was using my wife. I'd have to have her to go pick up this money when I was in Matamoros. So they tracked that name to her name through those records, wire transfers, and tracked her to her hometown in Veracruz.
We relayed all of that information to our Mexican Foreign Field Office, who work very closely with the Mexican government, and through additional leads that they followed, we were able to narrow his location to a very small community called Martinez de la Torre in Veracruz.
Now that authorities know where Silvers is living, they're hoping he'll be easy to spot.
He's a white male. He stood out in Mexico. Regardless of where he was at, he stood out.
Anybody within 50 miles would have instantly known who's the American.
Authorities have almost every piece of the puzzle in place. All that's left to do is find Silvers and arrest him.
We sent a deputy U.S. Marshal who was fluent in Spanish down to our Mexican Foreign Field Office in Mexico City to provide that technical assistance to the Mexican government. They narrowed him down to a rental property in Martinez de la Torre. They had that residence under surveillance.
Silvers doesn't know that authorities have tracked him to Martinez de la Torre and plan to take him down. On the afternoon of December 15th, 2004, Silvers stops at a local video store. A team of Mexican federales and a U.S. Marshal have tailed him to the store and are monitoring him just a few hundred feet away. Silvers is completely unaware that the police have him surrounded. December 15th, 2004, Veracruz, Mexico. Fugitive Kerry Silvers has been on the run for 2.5 years, following a daring escape from an Indiana jail. His journey has taken him to the tiny town of Martinez de la Torre, where he has a new identity and a successful career as a computer and English teacher.
If you need any help, just raise your hand and I'll come up and help you guys, okay?
Unfortunately for Silvers, U.S. authorities have tracked his whereabouts, and his freedom is coming to an end.
There he is, that's him.
When I pull up to the video store, I get out and go to lock my car up, and these two guys bum rush me.
Silvers is completely taken by surprise and tries to resist.
They got me pinned up against the car. And so I'm pushing myself off the car, trying to get turned around. Suddenly, an American comes walking up
Gary Silvers, we know who you are.
and says, "Don't resist. They'll shoot you." And as soon as I heard his voice, I stopped.
Silvers is taken into custody.
Yeah, we got Silvers.
The Mexican federales immediately turned Silvers over to the U.S. authorities.
He was back within 24 hours of his capture. The Mexican government expelled him immediately, and we had the Indiana State Police waiting to interview him.
They called and let us know when he'd be transported back to Indianapolis, and gave us the opportunity to come up for the interview.
Silvers arrives in Indianapolis, Indiana, and eventually gets transferred to the Pendleton Correctional Facility 25 miles away. 5 years later, he's still awaiting trial on escape charges from the Orange County Jail. He knows he broke the law, but claims he never intended to hurt anyone in the process.
Clearly, I'm guilty of some things. I don't mind admitting what I did, and I don't mind admitting that I was wrong, regardless of my reasons. I'm not guilty of what they're saying I'm guilty of. You know what I mean? I certainly never tried to kill anybody. I've never tried to kidnap anyone. I've never hurt anyone or tried to. I was trying to get away to save myself.
There was a safety, an extra safety on that particular weapon.
I'm gonna kill you right here.
If there had not been a safety in place and he'd pulled the trigger, he would have killed me then.
Silvers has every intention of appealing his original 61-year sentence.
That's a lifetime. That's not just some extra years here or there. That's taking a punishment and turning it into a life sentence. I don't think that a person's entire life should be destroyed for a couple youthful errors that didn't really hurt anyone. Especially when you know you're not a bad person and when you know that you have potential to make something of your life, you know, to be successful and to help people.
He spends a lot of time in the law libraries, and he actually counsels other prisoners on the legal aspects of their case. I would not be surprised at all if he was not able to produce a filing in court that otherwise resulted in a decrease in his sentence.
Investigators agree that Silvers is not your typical hardened criminal, but they believe his punishment is well deserved.
He's different. You're looking at more or less a white-collar criminal when you're looking at Kerry. He's not one to get his hands dirty. You know, he's going to manipulate somebody else into getting their hands dirty and him prosper from it.
He's a dangerous individual because he's intelligent, he's a planner. He thinks it through.
Kerry Silvers is a crook who took things too far when he escaped from jail. He almost got away with it, and he is confident that he won't spend the rest of his life behind bars.
I will be free again, and I won't be an old man, I'm convinced.
He deserves a lengthy prison sentence. He spent most of his life trying to make his money the easy way. He's resorted to crime to support himself. A lot of those people don't change overnight.
Stay down, old man.